Forced labor is a form of modern slavery, and it's occurring in mineral supply chains. It could occur at any point, during extraction, or at refining, smelting, or processing. Awareness of these risks is growing, and new importer requirements and legislation have been put in place to prevent forced labor. Companies in the mineral supply chain face increased costs and legal risks from having supply chains linked to forced labor. Here we'll highlight key steps to take to address the risk of forced labor in mineral supply chains. Develop a policy and embed it into management systems. Identify and assess risks. Implement corrective actions, and monitor and report. The first step is to establish a policy prohibiting forced labor in your operations and supply chain. It should commit to preventing forced labor and following ILO conventions. The policy should cover conditions of work in order to address the risk of forced labor. Here are examples of what to cover. Your policy should apply to your operations and to your business partners, including suppliers. Communicate your policies to all business partners during onboarding and business reviews. Provide regular trainings as necessary, especially for high-risk issues. Put these policies in a supplier code of conduct. Include them into your supplier contracts or business partner agreements that are enforceable as a condition for doing business. To implement your policies, create a robust management system with these components. Roles and responsibilities, policy review process, risk identification and remediation process, trainings for employers, workers, and business partners, reporting and continual improvement. Develop processes for managing complaints and reporting risks. There should be processes for investigations, remediation, and reporting. Forced labor is work that is performed involuntarily and under menace of penalty. People are coerced to work through the use of violence or intimidation, or there may be more subtle methods. There could be accumulated debt, retention of identity papers, or threats of denunciation to immigration authorities. Develop a process to identify, confirm, and address the risks in your operations and your supply chain. The risks could be within your own operations, like your offices or manufacturing facilities. But they could also happen in your business partners' operations. Risks could be happening with vendors, commercial partners, or suppliers, as well as their suppliers, subcontractors, or service providers. To identify risks, look for factors in your supply chain that increase the risk. Are there indirect workers, like contractors or temporary employees? They're more vulnerable because they have less stable employment situations. They may also be recruited or employed by agencies, who might charge workers recruitment fees. Some may be migrant workers, who depend on the agency or employer for housing, legal rights to work, and transportation costs to return home. Do any of the minerals come from artisanal mining operations? This sector is more likely to be informal, and the risks are higher. Are any operations found in areas with ongoing conflict or widespread corruption and poverty? People there have fewer economic opportunities. That leaves workers exposed to bad actors, like armed groups, corrupt state actors, and exploitive employers. You can verify if these risks exist through desk-based research, using publicly available sources, or you can use third parties for research or assessments. You can also work directly with business partners to assess the risk. Prioritize operations with potential for risks, and then confirm whether the risks actually exist. Follow up with requests for additional information to prevent forced labor. If necessary, Request audits by qualified third-party auditors to better understand the situation. If there are any reports of potential forced labor in your supply chain, they should be investigated. Use independent third parties wherever possible. This makes the investigation more credible and thorough. A grievance mechanism can help you identify potential cases. Anyone in your operations, supply chain, or stakeholder community should be able to report suspected incidents of forced labor, anonymously if they prefer. And there should be a non-retaliation policy for whistleblowers. If there are confirmed incidents, you'll need to develop corrective action plans. Prepare immediate actions and long-term improvements to avoid similar incidents in the future. The timeline for each corrective action depends on the severity of the incident. To build trust with workers and stakeholders, regularly report on your progress, both publicly and internally. Encourage stakeholders to provide feedback on your progress. Their feedback can improve your ability to identify, manage, and improve your management systems to prevent forced labor.